Welcome back, Renegade. Thank you so much for being with us here this week. So, this week, I'm going to be honest, this episode is not the episode I was really planning to make. I found myself this week just really struggling with some feelings of self-doubt and just feeling like I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, and that I'm not able to perform at the level that I would want to or that I hold myself to, and that I don't really have what it takes to make it through and be successful. And so rather than continuing to struggle through the episode that I was working on, I felt like now was really the good time to do this episode and to lean into these feelings and acknowledge and reconcile them when they're strong and when they're raw. And like, this was an episode I was always intending to do. I just wasn't intending to do it now. And so I think also the biggest thing was that maybe I just needed a bit of a reminder myself about who I am, who we are as renegades, and how we work through these struggles when we're feeling inadequate or not good enough or struggling with self-doubt. And so this week, we're going to be talking about self-doubt, feelings of fear, depression, inadequacy, and how we can reframe our relationship with our less desirable side and reconcile and honor them, but yet separate ourselves and push through. In order for us to overcome these feelings, we must first find a way to kind of, I'm going to say that again. We never want to personally identify with. I know that kind of sounds great, but it can be difficult to actualize this. Like, how can we achieve this reframe in our mind? And see, it lives kind of in the back recesses of our minds, always lurking in the shadows. Welcome to the Renegade Institute. So, at some point, all of us are going to feel some sort of inadequacy or self-doubt within our lives. This can look like imposter syndrome. It can be bouts of depression. Maybe we're feeling fearful about a situation that we're in or apprehensive about the future, or even fearful of rejection or self-loathing and PTSD because of experiences that we've been through. We see a lot of examples of people suffering with their darker side in movies. So one of the most traumatic experiences from my childhood was going through the Never-Ending Story.
Everyone knew that whoever let the sadness overtake him would sink into the swamp.
Where the main character's horse, Artex, drowns in the swamp of sadness because he's just overwhelmed with grief and is unable to push through.
You gotta move or you'll die! Move, please! I won't give up! Don't quit!
In a more recent example, we have in Star Wars, Kylo Ren really struggling with his sense of identity, who he is, what his relationship is to his father, what his relationship is to his grandfather, and having what it takes to be able to push through and to be strong enough and really doubting himself.
I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Or in one of my personal favorite series, Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have Aang through all 4 seasons is training to fight the Fire Lord, who is super powerful, and Aang just feels like he is not up to this challenge, that he's not strong enough, that he's not going to be able to push through, and that everyone around him is pushing him to kill the Fire Lord, which deeply violates some really strongly held beliefs that he has.
But I see that you are lost in more ways than one right now.
I am. I need to figure out what to do once I face the Fire Lord. Everyone expects me to take the Fire Lord's life, but I just don't know if I can do that.
In general, when we're feeling this self-doubt, when we're feeling this negativity about ourselves, when we're feeling like we might not be good enough, we're kind of just told, just ignore it, think about other things, believe in yourself, or just fake it till you make it. And I find that these are not as helpful to me. I feel like that these are kind of surface level and don't really give us the tools we need to push through. For me, it's about understanding where these feelings come from and how we frame them in our mind. And generally, what's happening is it's difficult for us to differentiate where we are, who we are, and where this self-doubt is, and if this self-doubt is an integral part of us.
I know my own destiny, Uncle.
Is it your own destiny? Or is it a destiny someone else has tried to force on you?
Stop it, Uncle. I have to do this.
I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
Or is this inherent feeling of inadequacy actually a part of us? And actually, are we not good enough? Well, I'm here to tell you, as someone that has failed and failed a lot, it's not you. You're not the problem. You are good enough, you can persevere, and you can absolutely push through this. These feelings are temporary, and you will make it through. But we're going to need some tools to be able to do that. So in order for us to overcome these feelings, we must first find a way to kind of disentangle ourselves from this narrative. We need to differentiate ourselves from the negativity that we're feeling. And so one of the first things that we need to do is never personally identify with these feelings. I'm going to say that again. We never want to personally identify with these feelings. See, this negativity, it resides within us. We hear it in our own voice, in our inner monologue, inside our heads. But we need to remember that this is not of us. This does not define us. And so in order for us to be able to do this, we need to create a solid cognitive distinction between our forged sense of identity, who we are as people, what we are capable of, and this temporary emotional state that we're currently experiencing and going through. And that this negativity, this doubt, this fear, it's just water flowing around us, but we're the stone in the river, that we're resolved, resolute, and unchanged, and that this feeling is just going to flow through us, but that we're going to maintain who we are. So I know that that kind of sounds great, but it can be difficult to actualize this. Like, how can we achieve this reframe in our minds? What do we do to make this possible for ourselves? And I found one of the best ways or stories that I heard to reframe this in our minds comes from a short story that's one of my personal favorites. And it's the story of the two wolves. I'm pretty sure you guys have probably heard of this at some point or saw something on the internet about it. But it basically goes that one evening, an old Cherokee told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside every one of us. And he said, "My son, inside all of us, there is a battle between two wolves. One is evil, it is anger, jealousy, doubt, greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, fear, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, it's peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth." And the boy sat there thinking about it. And then he looked up and he asked, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" And the old man quietly replied, "The one you feed." So what I love about this story, what I love about this framing of this battle that's going on inside of us, is that these darker feelings, they're always within us. They're always present. But so is the good side. So is the strong side. It's always there too. And that we, as the individual, have the agency to choose how much power or which side of us is going to win. And we do this through our actions by deciding which part of ourselves that we're going to feed and we're going to allow to occupy the space in our minds and in our thoughts. But sometimes in the moment, this can be really, really difficult, right? Sometimes when we're steeping in self-doubt, when the evil wolf is all we see and feel, and we're struggling with depression, we're struggling with feeling like we can do it, and the good wolf is really nowhere to be found, how do we kind of claw our way back out of this hole? And so for me, before I left home for the Army, I was leaving to go through a very difficult selection pipeline in the Army. I had a very close friend of mine who knew some of the challenges I was going to be going through, who knew the ways I was going to be physically, mentally, and emotionally pushed. And he gave me some advice on how he kind of frames these negative feelings that we have. And he said that all these times when we feel like we want to quit, when we want to give up, and when we feel like we're not strong enough, there's going to be this little voice that's going to crawl in from the back of our mind, and it's going to say things like, just quit, just give up. It'll be so much easier. You're not cut out for this. He took all of those and he called it the Doubt Gremlin.
Show yourself. It's me. Yes.
And see, this Doubt Gremlin, it lives kind of in the back recesses of our minds, always lurking in the shadows, kind of like the evil wolf. And when you're feeling your weakest, when you're feeling like you can't push through, that's when it's going to show up, and it's going to quietly start whispering those toxic things that's going to push us to want to give up.
Yoda recognizes you not. See not what is inside Yoda. I choose not to give you power.
And so this gremlin can be really convincing and can make us want to quit before we should. So when I took this, and when I was pushing through selection, and when I was going through these really difficult challenges, having this idea of the Doubt Gremlin really, really helped me, because rather than accepting that these negative emotions, that these negative feelings were part of who I was, they were rather just part of the Doubt Gremlin. And I viewed this Doubt Gremlin as a cohabitant in my mind that I never personally identified with. He was always something that was with me, but not necessarily of me. And it took a lot of time, but the idea of the Doubt Gremlin, as framed by my friend, kind of gave me a way to isolate and separate myself from the times when I was feeling weak.
Part of me, you are not. Part of you, I am. Part of all that lives.
That it's not me saying these things, but it's actually a weaker, scared other that I carry with me that's trying to convince me to adopt its viewpoint. And then while I was on a particularly challenging ruck march, it was over 20 miles. My feet were just a brick of duct tape. I had no joke. I had 16 different blisters, 8 on each foot, that were just covered in duct tape. And I was really sucking. Like, life was not fun. I was exhausted. I was starving, and I just wanted to give up. And then the idea of the Doubt Gremlin came into my mind, and I was like, this is the Doubt Gremlin that's trying to break me. And while I was in that really difficult spot, I came up with a mantra that I was repeating to myself over and over. Every time I had a thought that's like, just quit. Just crack that red chem light. The cadre will come pick you up. You'll get hot food. They'll drive you back home in a truck. And every time that happened, I would acknowledge and recognize these feelings as being of the gremlin and saying, it's okay. I know you're tired. I know you're hungry. I know you're scared. I know you want to quit. And then I would follow up with the punchline. That was my mantra that I just said over and over and over to myself. And I said, it's okay. I will carry you too.
Recognize you. I do. Part of me you are. Yes. Power over me you have not. Through patience and training, it is I who control you.
This is what carried me through. This is what helped me make it through selection and beyond to a bunch of other challenges that I've been through. And how this mantra helped me is it created a distinct other to be the origin of all the negativity, of all the self-doubt. And rather than it being my weakness, my insecurity, it was the weakness of something else. It was the Doubt Gremlin's weakness. And this allowed me to recognize and feel and honor the feelings. I didn't have to ignore them. I didn't have to try to push them away. I didn't have to pretend that they weren't real. I could experience them, but then at the same time, then reject them.
My dark side, you are. Reject you, I do.
And it created an independent identity frame for myself. That by separating myself from these feelings, I was able to establish the stone in the river, independent from the water flowing around me. And it gave me this identity frame that was based in a position of strength and agency rather than being a victim. And by saying, it's okay, I will carry you too, I was framing myself as able to make my own decisions, to dictate my own actions. But it also showed me that I was not only strong enough to overcome the challenge that I was facing, but that I had enough strength left over to carry the Doubt Gremlin with me over that finish line as well, that I could continue to be successful even with an additional burden. And so, kind of in conclusion, some days life is going to be really hard, like really, really hard. And there are going to be times when there are going to be other people around us that are going to try to cut us down. They're going to try and tell us that we're not good enough. And this can be incredibly difficult in its own right. But then there are other days when the negativity seems to originate from within us. It's in our own head, in our own voice, in our own inner monologue. And this is much harder to deal with. And so we can tackle this by strategically employing cognitive frames where we create a distinct other outside of ourselves for all of our negativity and all of these feelings. This is going to be our Doubt Gremlin. And this way, we never have to personally identify with the feelings. We never have to feel that these things are emanating from us, but in fact are coming from a separate thing, distinct and separate from us. This then allows us to decide which wolf we're going to feed and which wolf we're going to allow to occupy the space in our minds. And when the bad wolf feels like it's starting to win, and when the Doubt Gremlin is getting just a little too loud, we can take a step back. We can take a deep breath. We can chuckle, and we can recognize and honor the feelings and the things that we're experiencing. We can recognize that they are real, but then we can reject them as they are not of us, that we are not choosing them for us and they do not control us. But instead, we're going to respond from a position of strength, from a position of agency. We will look that Doubt Gremlin in the eyes and we will say with compassion, it's okay. I will carry you too. So I know that was a little bit of a different episode. It was a little bit rushed because I kind of wanted to capitalize on it. But what did you guys think of that? Is that helpful? Is it not? What's a good story of a time that you overcame your own self-doubt, and how did you do it? Let us know down in the comments below, and make sure that this is your opportunity to be a part of Renegade Institute history. As we've said in other episodes, we're always coming back and looking at episodes and doing refreshers of it where we want to talk about the new ideas and new theories and new stories that you guys contribute down in the comment sections below. So if you want to make your way onto the channel, that's a really, really good way to do it. If you've made it this far, consider hitting that like and subscribe button if you feel like we earned it and if you feel like the content was good. This is a really great way for us to see what's resonating with you guys, what you guys like and what you don't, and helps us make better content for you. So for our closing thought for the day, or our closing quote, is going to come from Roy T. Bennett, and he said, "Don't let others tell you what you can't do. Don't let the limitations of others limit your vision. If you can remove your self-doubt and believe in yourself, you can achieve what you never thought was possible. Anyhow, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we are excited to see you all next time. Take care. Cheers. How now, brown cow? All right, we got this. We can do it. Take 12, 14, whatever we're on. We got it.